them to go along with Nixon's way of thinking. That was quite a step taken by Nixon, who then was victimized to some degree by a break-in ordered by CIA at the Watergate building by Hunt and Sturgis, individuals who were basically the walkie-talkie coordinators, and photographed in Dealey Plaza the day of the assassination of President Kennedy, Hunt and Sturgis, who basically were walkie-talkie coordinators working for CIA, working for elements of outsourced rogue CIA and British intelligence, who basically then signaled the triangulation assassination of President Kennedy from the sewers surrounding Dealey Plaza. And, of course, that was all part of the Operation Preemdex, which was the CIA outsourcing the assassination of President Kennedy to British intelligence and Israeli Mossad. We've reported this many times on briefings and on previous talk shows. Now, Nixon was then
Gentlemen, we're going to have to go to break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes and 22 seconds, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Freedom Fighters for America Radio. This is the Tom Hennigan Stu Webb Intel Hour, and we'll be right back. This is Freedom Fighters for America, www.freedomfightersforamerica.com. The Tom Hennigan and Stu Webb Intel Hour will return momentarily.
Tom, how are you doing?
Good. How's it going so far?
We're back on the air, Tom.
No, you're not.
Okay, so we left off with the Nixon thing. I just want to mention to you, blackmail. Nixon basically was, to some extent, blackmailing George Herbert Walker Bush on financial dealings in China. Of course, George Herbert Walker Bush was in Dealey Plaza the day of the assassination. So you can see what the break-in of the Watergate was then ordered by elements of CIA tied to George Herbert Walker Bush to basically frame Nixon, control Nixon, and remove him. See, here we have the Bush family involved in the removal of a president or the denying of someone the presidency. Jimmy Carter, the October surprise, the JFK assassination,
Killed the president.
Right now we have Nixon being removed basically by Sturgis and these burglars who work for Bush. And you got to remember, Bush was also head, George Herbert Walker was the head of the Republican National Committee. So you see, Nixon was then put in a position where he had to figure out a way to get out of this problem that he never even created.
In Nixon's administration was Cheney. Don't forget that one.
Right. Now, Nixon, I'm not a huge fan of Nixon historically. but I'm just trying to tell the truth to the American people. I'm not here to be a Democrat or Republican. I'm here to be an American. I'm here to tell people how your country is manipulated and ransacked and looted, and how the entire electoral system is completely a farce going back years. But Nixon was removed because there's an element because of the Chinese thing, and the fact that Nixon, and listen to this, folks, and write it down, was not going to allow the Federal Reserve to incorporate the elements of Chinese economics, corporate structure. And was a massive bonanza that was sitting out there. And so George Herbert Walker Bush ordered the break-in of the building, the Watergate building, and Nixon was eventually removed for basic perjury, for lying about what he knew in advance about the break-in, about the attempt, about the knowledge of the break-in, and the fact that he obstructed justice and didn't report it immediately and tried to cover it up. Involved in that was Bob Woodward of Naval Intelligence, who was working directly with Deep Throat, an FBI Division Number 5 stooge, who was very...
COINTELPRO, Ted Gunderson's boss.
That's correct, who obviously corresponded with none other than George Herbert Walker Bush on a daily basis. Am I right or wrong, Stu?
You are right. And we got the same old stooges around today, the Ted Gunderson types, trying to infiltrate the Patriot Committee in the same way that the Sean Hannitys and the Glenn Becks and all these other nutcases from Fox, FUX News, also known as Fox News. And so, anyway, go on.
See, that's significant to tell people because people should remember now that Deep Throat was actually George Bush. You like that, don't you, Sid?
Yeah, I do. I do like it.
Now,
I've heard it before.
Yeah. And you see, then in 1980, we have the hostages taken in Iran, to a large extent, a British intelligence operation. This character was the Iranian president. I can't even pronounce his name. This little punk, Eamon Minijan, or whatever his name is. He was one of the people that took the hostages.
And, of course, George Herbert Walker Bush paid Bonnie Sardar over there in France at a tarmac where they had that SR-71 that Bush did fly back on. But it was a colonel that flew it. But Gunther Russbacher, released all that information. It's in Rodney Stitch's book, defraudingamerica.com, folks. You can read all about October Surprise. It has a very accurate account. And I know the pilots and talked to several of them that flew over there. So I know what happened, and this is all true. Jimmy Carter got cheated out of his presidency. Kennedy got whacked. Nixon got shoved out to cover up a whole bunch of stuff. And then, of course, we had a coup d'etat with the 2000 election and the duly elected Al Gore. I mean, Tom, and we've had nothing but crime syndicate running it ever since.
Well, even 892 was a trickster election because Bush lost that one on purpose to Clinton, knowing that if he had stayed in office, he would have been impeached on Iran Contra.
Colin. Oh, yeah.
No, because Lawrence Walsh was sitting on enough evidence, I should use the word crap, to put Bush and his whole family in prison. So what he did is he looked at his watch, walked away, and let his business partner from Mena, Arkansas, Clinton, take over, who immediately... did the, I understand.
Years.
I mean, come on, Clinton spent 8 years under investigation by Kenneth Starr, Bush's representative.
Yeah, exactly. Because the crossover for the American people that people don't understand is Mena, Arkansas, and the guns for drugs and money laundering. It crosses both the Republicans and the Democrats. It crosses both the Hillary Clintons, Bill Clintons, Ollie North, George Herbert Walker Bush, Jeb Bush, Millman, Larry Mizell. I mean, it's all across the same board of the same ones that are involved in the current treason and ongoing sedition against the United States.
Yeah,
and so they couldn't have it come out.
Right, and you got, and of course, we mentioned, so you got four elections or four presidents that were basically wiped out by Bush, John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon,